career. So having been very poor before and not being poor on the other side, I started to feel very unfulfilled, and I started feeling very
Unfulfilled.
unfulfilled and very unhappy about being wealthier. So I was like, what can I do? I was like, I could go to one of the wealthiest people that I know, which is Mike. And my dad had passed away at this point. So I went to him and I said, Mike, I can't ask my dad. He's passed away. Um, this is a weird issue that I'm having. Like I've had some material success, nothing like you, but I've had some material success and I already don't like it. I feel, and he kind of chuckles, sits down, and he talks to me for what felt like at least like a couple hours, kind of giving me these life lessons that have stuck with me. So one of the first things he like looks at me and leans in and he goes, I want you to ask yourself, why are you making money? You only need so much to have a roof over your head, take care of your family. And if you're in the position where you're making way more than that, why? Why are you doing that? Is it because you want to be a consumer? Because if you're a consumer and you keep consuming that, it will destroy you. And for the first time, I really like started thinking about that, and I had started to become too much of a consumer. And you know, like in the Constitution or in the uh, the pursuit of happiness, right? Which is a very American thing. We often conflate the pursuit of pleasure with the pursuit of happiness, and they're very different things. What I really wanted was happiness, and
And
what
a
I
lot of
was
happiness costs nothing.
right, and happiness is very different from pleasure.
Yeah.
So what I had been doing inadvertently, and I think a lot of people in my position who come into money after not having it, right? They start pursuing pleasure, like cars, material things, right? Yes, those are nice. I'm not saying that's bad, but it's really important not to conflate that with happiness. So what he was asking me was, are you using money to just consume? And overconsumption is bad. Any way you look at it, you can only consume so much. You consume too much, you're going to destroy yourself. You're going to destroy the things that you love the most. Having weight issues myself, I totally could tell. I was like, yeah, you're right. If I overconsume, if I spend money on these random things, like what he mentioned is, he said, if you're just buying a Ferrari with your money and that's all you're doing, like, does that make you feel fulfilled? I know that you look at posters of Ferraris, you look at that, and oftentimes in advertising, that's what they show you as success. But is that really success? And he said, where's your money going? Like, so I know about him. And he said, I have 6 floors in my building. 2 of them bring money in, and 4 of them give it out, so that the world can be a better place. So I can work on a world that's that's more to how I think it should be. Not that he's trying to shape it, but he wants to work on making the world a better place that gives him happiness. And even after being a billionaire, that's why he gets up 4 a.m. That's why he was sitting down talking to me. And by the time we had this conversation, I'd already known him for more than a decade. And I knew he meant that. I saw that. He walked the walk. So it's not like he was preaching this from the pulpit, but this was a very private conversation where he's like, this is why I do what I do. This is why I find fulfillment and happiness. And I really asked myself, wow, he's right. What's that for me? How am I going to give my money away? Because that's the problem with being in software. If you start a business, you start realizing like you get crazy amounts of money all of a sudden, right? It's like, what do you do with that? Not giving it to yourself is actually a very important principle. It's like being on the keto diet or something, right? Taking care of yourself and knowing where do you want that additional resource to go if you're lucky enough to have it. Right? And I mean lucky, because it's not true for everybody, but if you're lucky enough to have it, where do you want it to go? And what do you really believe in? The other principle he taught me was, or he told me about, is said, if you really believe in feeding people, taking care of the homeless, for example, you'll be working at a soup kitchen today. You're not going to wait until you're a billionaire to take care of homelessness. You will be doing something today. So he asked me, what are you doing today? And I left that conversation like, oh my God, how do I answer these questions?
Well, like I'm doing nothing
right
now.
right? Like, because I'm doing nothing. I'm just chasing after money. That's why I
Yeah.
feel unfulfilled and
Yeah.
empty, right? Because I'm getting the money. Now I'm going, now what? Right? The model that I took for my entire life was just, spinning rims. Coming out of the ghetto, that's what we were told was success, is like spinning rims. Well, I went back and I thought about it, and I realized I love being around geeks, because geeks to me represent the kind of folks that love building. Like growing up in Southeast Asia, I saw the abject poverty, the destitution that was there when I was growing up. And then I saw what geeks like myself were able to do. There, like India is transformed, Bangladesh has been transformed by entrepreneurs, by folks who are going in there who are all about building. And in doing so, they've brought economic opportunity. They have reduced hunger, homelessness, a lot of these things. And I thought to myself, what better way could I serve? And during this time, there was also the recession. It was a really weird spot to be in, where I had, where I was doing really well during the recession. And I thought to myself that the best thing I could do is help empower those brilliant minds, the human capital Mike Milken had been talking to me about, and the human capital that I know, like being, uh, NASA geek, AI geek myself. I know myself. I know how much I could produce, and I knew that there were thousands of others like me. So I started Trip Hub, which brought together people